Now, somehow, I don't know who did not educate grandma that when she does the bushing or whatever she does, she needs to pay NIS and keep a track of it in order that she gets NIS benefits, because usually they don't, because they have not worked all the amount of times to make it accumulate. The daughter now sees mommy getting free money up with all her children. Every time she gets another child, she wants them to add the child to the program. She's just at home. She may collect little bit from the fathers, and she's okay because it's buying enough food to cook, and she's comfortable. She would not go look for a job. However, if you take out the seed, I could bet you she can fend for herself, though.
Well, Linda, I have a question.
Natasha, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question, because based on what you're explaining there, Belinda, seed, based on my understanding, the participants for seed is not selected by given individuals. It's selected by some program that they have. So they would take in person's information, and when they put it into the system will indicate whether or not the individuals meet the criteria, and then the officers for the different location will investigate and then confirm, and that's how somebody is put onto the seed program. Am I correct?
Okay, I'll backtrack a bit. A few years ago, during the period, so we check in the years when the NDC was in government. At that time, the government would have signed on with the World Bank to have the program seed instead of transportation allowance, instead of public assistance, and so on. So it was branded seed at that time. Now, before that period, persons were put on the program.
What do the acronym stands for, Belinda?
Education empowerment. I'll get it fair just now.
Okay.
Let me not lose my thought.
Yeah, sure.
So before that, persons were brought on through different means. A pastor would recommend somebody, the schools would more or less recommend, ministers recommend. And that was okay before the time of the World Bank. Now, when the World Bank came on, they took a program that was used somewhere else, and they tried it out here. Some persons would have failed, some persons would have passed. The thing is that it was done, it's like Natisha said, you put in the information into the computer, so it's like an exam. Based on the mark you get, the score, you fall into a category. Based on the category, it will deem how vulnerable you are. So people had this all kind of uproar. I think it was about 40 questions because it's the same form. Now, somebody who is not properly trained would do the form with somebody else who is properly trained, and they will do two different forms. The forms that is done, one may pass, or both may pass, or both may fail, but they may fall into different categories because of the answers that you would have put down on the paper. So that there was a problem. Now, seed, how should I put it? People who are self-employed somehow believe that they're not working as they have it. However, if we know better, most people who are self-employed are working for more money than me. However, they are on seed. So they collect their self-employed money, they pay their NIS, they do their what. However, on the seed form, they would put they're not working anywhere because they believed you have to be working with somebody. So that person, in my view, should be put as working, but on the form, somebody would put not working. I don't know if I'm making sense.
Yeah.
Right. So with that now, you have people still on the program who would have been on the program way before the form was done, because as far as my knowledge serves me right, even though everybody's form would have been re-entered into the system, nobody was put out of the program.
Okay.
Whereas some people failed. Now, failure on the system, what should be done is that you have to go reassess the household again. do over a form to confirm that all the information that was there is actually what should be there. Then you'll know if the person pass, fail, and then you're supposed to inform the person as to removal on the program. Based on who in the family receives, there's a different time frame for removal. And yes, the form is done based on the household and not an individual directly in the household. So I live here with my mom, my dad, and my 2 sisters. I'm crippled. The form cannot be done for me alone. The form has to be done for the entire family to see if the family qualifies. Now, I could be crippled, but the family, that is a doctor, whoever is what. However, on the paper, it doesn't ask you what type of job the person does.
Ah, okay.
It would only ask if the person is employed, how much hours per day the person works. So somebody who is a farmer and may only go in the garden for 2 hours a day, however, they produce how much thousands of watermelon or whatever. The system is the flaw here that it may qualify the person. There is a committee that usually meets, which really, the true purpose of the committee has not been in full play, because they could approve as well as disapprove somebody, especially if the person, I think part of the form says if you give wrong information, they can just fail you like that. They don't have to give you any, once you give false information.
Yeah. It's almost as it's a breach of the contract.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Natisha, answer your question.
Okay, I understand that's the process, right? So my thing is with what is it that you're saying? Where is the follow-up in regards to the seed officers?
You want to put me in
monthly monitoring of the
all right, okay,
individual, so that they could go ahead to pick up these little things and them in the field, because based on what I'm gathering you're saying, right, it's possible. Hold on. It's possible.
This is recorded. That's why okay, don't get me wrong.
No, I understand. I just wanna get something across. It's possible that I'm qualified for the program at this phase in my life, and later on, 6 months down the road, I'm no longer qualified because my circumstances would have changed.
Yes, there's recertification.
Right? So the thing, my question is now, how does the monitoring officers and so forth, because I understand the flaw that the system can make in regards to how they select persons and whatnot. So during that time, how often then do they reassess, and to the monitoring officers could indicate whether or not, okay, that person's circumstances would have changed, or do we reassess everybody within a year period, within a 6 months period? So, because I am taking it that they should have some form of agreement for probably individuals that are onto the program.
Okay. Based on the manual, reassessment supposed to be every 2 years. And Steve, tell Natisha, jail is for people like me, so
Yeah, but jail make the right thing. I keep telling
you. Me too. That's why I don't say that. That's why I don't say that.
Okay. Based on your personality,
Natisha,
you will strive well in jail too. So
thank you.
Natisha,
thank you.
I know that your personality you can ripen in jail just like things. all I'm saying is that what we are coming up with here is part of the mandate of the type of CSO that you could develop out of what you haven't so far. In that there has to be some entity doing monitoring and evaluation training at the community level. So what if a CSO like this was able to approach a ministry, a government ministry, and say, look, we have a program that we've developed by looking at best practice regionally that can help us in terms of how we monitor seed recipients. how we can, with the limited resources that the state has, because it's a state-run operation, you only have so many monitoring officers. If you only have 8 officers, or 2 officers per parish or something, clearly you won't be able to move that cycle within a 6-month period or 1 year.
Steve,
Please, nobody quote me. Please, nobody quote me. There's 1 seed officer per constituency. Now, a seed officer may have over 200, 300, 400. It depends on the constituency. Applicant.
Why I was able to say that with confidence is that I know how all of these programs are stretched. If you start talking about how many extension officers per farmer, to how many farmers per extension officer, you run into the same kind of problem. So what it opens up the way now for some kind of process, some kind of mechanism that would be less people powered in terms of the operation and more dynamic in terms of how you collect the information and so. And I'm just saying that this is something that we could tease through when we do other sections of this course, because monitoring and evaluation has to be dealt with separately. We just touched on it in terms of monitoring and evaluation for a grant proposal, right? But this is a topic in and of itself. I don't see anybody coming out of an associate degree program in sustainable community development practice who cannot, who has not been exposed to, would not have been exposed to some kind of intensive monitoring and evaluation system and methodologies. And I'm saying that as we go forward, as you go forward, I don't know how deep my involvement would be through the years. I'm just saying that it's something that you could, as a collective, you could have in your collective mind when you register your CSO, that these may be some of the issues we'd want to tackle. In other words, I can foresee a day when there's a civil society organization that is geared specifically for implementing public assistance. In the same way that Red Cross runs a parallel to the health ministry and isn't attempting to take over the health ministry or replace it, but it's just that you're providing services that dovetail into the health services. I can see a program or a system of operation where there's a CSO that provides that service of being the field and monitoring agent, not to replace the officers, the state paid officers now, but to augment them. And if you could prove to government that it is cost effective, that having these monitors in the field saves government money by purging out the people who are abusing the system, then, with time and with some pilot operations, I can see that. I can foresee that, because one of the things about governments is that there are no stupid governments out there. There may be slightly dishonest governments, but they're never stupid governments. They always have a bottom line and a means of getting re-elected. So that if they do things that seem counterproductive, it's usually because there's some sort of hidden agenda. But there are no stupid governments out there. So that if you could prove to them that, look, this is a way to save money, right? And depending on the quality of the government, what they're going to do with that save money, it's up in the air, right? But I'm saying that I have not heard of or seen any government that will bypass something like that. No matter how corrupt the government is, no matter how corrupt the individual members of the government are, they always will go for a project like that. Because what you're really saying is that you're going to save the government money. What they do with that saved money, as I said, we have no control over that. But I see that as something that could work. If there's an agency, an organization that is geared as part of their mandate. I'm not saying that this is going to be mandate for your CSN, but your CSO could be the one doing the training. As people with some concept of what best practice is all about for sustainable community development. Yeah?
Steve, you're a consultant, right?
Yep.
I think that you're trying to take away people's like me future jobs because I'm looking at developing proposal for things like those. I've
Well,
been looking.
so I keep telling you, there's an abundance out there. I mean, there's no shortage of issues to tackle. You know? I can come from where I come from and write a better proposal than you who have been in the system for so long. And if I do, then shame on you. No, I'm being very serious. If you let me come from Trinidad to understand the seed problem better than you and Belinda, who hear all the time, then, I mean, you know, I can't make no apologies for that. What I'm saying is that if you and Belinda have both been exposed to a program, a course of study with lecturers of a certain caliber, right? Then there's no reason why you all won't naturally fit into that group and be competitive with anybody coming from anywhere, whether they be World Bank consultants or not. That's one of the main things I usually get in trouble for. You know? I would not let any World Bank consultant from some non-tropical country come and give me agricultural advice. I'm very sorry. Right? So once you mark off your territory, backed with enough experience and some formal education, there's no competition. Absolutely no competition. There's no way I should be able to write a proposal, a better proposal than you. Cool?
Yeah, I respect that.
So don't worry. Don't worry.
Okay.
Don't worry, I pay too much. But I'm glad that you saw where the thing was headed and how there are opportunities out there. I mean, you don't have to be a graduate to pick up those opportunities. Being a graduate helps in the sense that you would have the formal training and education and so forth. Trust me, this is not something these are not issues that you want to wait for somebody to come from the outside to pick up. Cool?
Cool. Excellent.
Yeah, so you see how easy it is to get into the utility of a CSO. I mean, this is what I hope I've been able to transfer to you guys. That every issue, every operation that involves the community has a direct link to what we are doing here. If you're into community development, into CSO development, if you're into development at all, anything that concerns people concerns you. So when we were having our COVID-19 discussions before, I mean, unfortunately, it came to pass. I was really impressed when I heard Minister Steve saying that the same Chinese that people were busy about talking, the same Chinese that we get equipment from now. So we have to be always aware of how we deal with stuff like this. I'm just looking at the chat here, and I'm seeing that. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. See, there's support for education, empowerment, and development. Okay. Thanks a lot. Okay, guys. So I hope that I haven't been, harping on the same point over and over and over. That the more involved you get with a course of study, with a discipline, if you like, then the easier it is for you to see every occurrence in daily life having some kind of impact on it or through it. Agreement? Disagreement?
Agreed.
Totally agreed.
A quick question though.
Yeah, money.
How, I mean, you just mentioned COVID issue, in passing. How can we, how does a CSO takes advantage of a need, yes, that let's just say COVID created, without seeming too insensitive?
True. In other words, if how does a CSO make masks and sell them? Because that seems insensitive sometimes, doesn't it? As if you're profiteering of other people's misfortune.
Right. So how do you do that properly, whatever that is?
I think it all has to do with the sequencing and the purpose for which the funds are going to be used. If there was a CSO in the country with the foresight, let's say, to go to Amazon, you with me? Go on Amazon. Go on Amazon, and back in December, ordered 6,000, 10,000 masks, right? Face masks. Brought them down here, wherever they got the funds from, whatever, their internal sources or whatever. They bought them at $2 US. And then they came down here and decided, okay, we know that this pandemic is going to really reap havoc. We have these $2 masks and we're going to sell them for $8 US for one. You still with me?
Uh-huh.
Right.
Yeah, I'm listening.
So that, would be kind of hard to countenance, to deal with, because what you're talking about is a couple 100% increase. Remember, it won't be profitable because it's a CSO. So they'll be making revenue off of, poor people, rich people, the corporate world, the Ministry of Health, depending on who they sell it to, right? So where I would have a difficulty would be in terms of how much the difference between exploring an opportunity and exploiting. I think that is where I would have a problem. If they decide, okay, they're going to sell the mask at $4 US, so they're going to make a substantial return, right, on their investment, because remember they have work to do to it.
Right.
So I would have no difficulty with that. I would have no difficulty with that if, having sourced the mask and having the foresight to think that that this was something that would be necessary. If they then proceeded to sell it to government, I would still not have a difficulty once they do not go beyond the price that government would have been able to get it for, from China or wherever the masks are coming from now, right? So if it looked like if it was price gouging, I would have a difficulty with that CSO. But if it was because the CSO had the vision, the foresight, based on what we know about foresighting now, and they saw this thing coming, and they were the ones that did it, I would prefer if a CSO did it than a private sector entity did it, who would not then channel the funds back into the community. Am I making sense? Do you understand? You see what I'm heading, Bonnie?
Right. So I get you.
Right? So I would have no difficulty at all with because if I was advising that CSO, and let us say we did a foresighting session back in December. Look at how we were talking about this thing before, before it became,
right,
a major emergency. Suppose our CSO was up and running already, right? And we had that discussion back in December when absolutely no one was taking this thing on. And we said, look, we just got some money from small grants, right, to source protective equipment. Now, you'd have to ask yourself, where in our mission statement does it say that we're going to be dealing in health supplies. You with me?
Yes.
I would have a difficulty if the CSO just picked that up, because that means that they were just hunting around for means to make some money, because it wasn't really part of their mandate. This is not a CSO that was operating in the health sector or even in the protective sector, if you want to put it that way. You know, we had no aspect of our mission would have pointed us in that direction.
So let me just quickly take it further.
Mm-hmm.
As in emergency acts and orders and bills and laws. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If depends on the CSO, part of the objectives states something like this.
Mm-hmm.
In case of a major environmental crisis,
Mm-hmm.
we will leave our main objective for such a time and be willing to engage to help reduce, mitigate, eradicate that crisis.
Yeah.
I mean, can we get that, Rod?
Yeah.
As
But I would you would have a difficulty getting away with that literally, because if you're saying that you have to wait until it's an emergency to jump into action, then you would not have bought those things in December. You would be competing now with the health services and everybody else to try to get the last shipment coming in, you know, before the port close and that type of thing. So I would have a difficulty with the framing it as, in other words, what you're basically saying is that your mission statement is now going to say that anytime it looks like we could make our money, we could make our money. Well, that's what that says, right?
You have to be very careful.
You have to be very careful. So I'm saying that there are agencies that could have benefited from that.
Right.
Right? I mean, if you're like let's say a kid, better yet, you had an association dealing with patients with, you know, pneumonia recovery and, you know, respiratory disease and things. A CSO like that could easily justify it in terms of, okay, in terms of protecting our members who are compromised health-wise already, you know, it's in our best interest to make sure that our members, our beneficiaries have masks, independent of what the state is supplying. So if we ordered 10,000 and we only have 200, you know, members or patients with pulmonary diseases, then fine, we save.
You only have 2 minutes.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to.
Yes.
Can you log us on when we log off? And I'm recording this. Fair enough? Can you?
Okay, I'll do so.
Yeah, don't start yet, you know, because I don't want to run up the
All right.
Okay? Wait until we go back to WhatsApp, and then we'll join you afterwards, and then we have Karen. If we still have time, we'll do Karen afterwards, okay?
Okay.
All right. So Bonnie, let me close off here so that we don't lose the recording.
Yes, no problem.
Go to WhatsApp and we'll log back on with Kenya.
Yeah, excellent. No problem.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.